My background is in art. I was trained as a painter and sculptor. I always wanted to create artwork that reflects on the issues of low-income communities, particularly African American. And I was doing that all fine until one day a young student, must have been around 15 to 16 years old, who came to my studio once and looked around and complimented me on these big paintings and sculptures dealing with issues of homelessness and war and that kind of stuff. And he said to me clearly, he said, while your paintings and sculpture reflects what's happening in our communities, that's not what we need. We don't need people telling us what the issues are. We need solutions. And if you're an artist and you're creative, why not create some kind of change? First thing that happened was I stumbled upon philosophy by a German artist, and he coined a term in the 70s called social sculpture, in which he defines as the way in which we shape and mold the world around us. And if we take every action that we perform seriously, like an artist sculpting a piece of sculpture, then we would create a world that was really beautiful in the way that it's intended to be. I took that philosophy with me when I started looking around the Third Ward area at possible places to create something that was not just symbolic but also had a practical application. On a tour with Shape Community Center, when I saw these little shotgun houses and they said this was one of the worst places in the whole area, which was at the corner of Holman and Live Oak Street, they said it should be torn down. And it was amazing the amount of vacancy, dilapidation that was in the northern part of Third Ward. There were only 4 lots that were inhabited, and everything else was just, you know, abandoned houses or vacant lots that were overgrown. Well, later my creative energy started to kind of focus in a little bit, and I started thinking, you know, well, wait a minute, maybe these houses could be symbolic of how we could deal with some of the challenging issues within our community. And like any art, you know, you always take something, material that has no meaning or no value, and once you work with it, you turn it into something that has lots of meaning and is symbolic and have all kind of other implications. So basically I started out here at the corner of Holman and Live Oak, gathering volunteers and people that believed that we could transform this place that everybody that we talked to early on said that it should just be torn down. But we were able to dig the history up from the architecture. The thing that gave me a sense of possibility of reclaiming this site was looking at the works of John Biggers and understanding how he articulated what the meaning of shotgun houses and communities really are. John Biggers challenges us to look back in time and to understand what these communities were like and what value they had and what we may be able to draw from that experience and integrate it into our contemporary life. Good and relevant architecture, where the architecture is very simple and simplistic, but there's a certain kind of beauty in the repetition of that. And the second thing he said that was important is creativity. We have to demand the highest level of creativity that God has given us to do the work that we need to do on this earth to keep it going. Third thing is that it's important to understand the importance of wisdom and education. And he talked about how in the old days, you know, there was this sense of informal education where people kind of passed along wisdom from one generation to the next, from one porch to the next porch. We may complain about these little shotgun houses and say that they're too little and not, you know, fit to live in or whatever. But he said, if you think back 70, 80 years ago when lots of black people lived in these shotgun houses, shotgun communities, he said, we didn't have nearly the kind of homelessness that we have now. You know, and he said, you can go all over the country and you can find black people living in, you know, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 10,000 square foot homes and have relatives that live on the streets. With Project Row Houses, we tried to mirror those things in our development, you know, by reclaiming the architecture, bringing in creative energy within this community, creating educational access through after-school and summer education programs for youth. And then, of course, the social safety net is housing issues around people that, that have difficulties with housing within the area.